We saw last night the Cleveland Browns clinch a playoff berth.
Yes.
On the arm of Joe Flacco and the insane ability of Myles Garrett and the probably one of the top, if not the best, one of the top 3 best defenses in the NFL, that Cleveland Browns defensive unit. I mean, you got to have a good defense if you're playing 4 different quarterbacks throughout the start of the year and you have double-digit wins. The Browns got 12. I mean, that's kind of nuts, right? So there we are with that. But we have several different scenarios in which playoff berth, AFC division, NFC divisions can be locked up here. Right now, Jacksonville could clinch a division, clinch the AFC South if Indiana loses and Houston loses and Jacksonville wins. No Trevor Lawrence playing. C.J. Stroud will be up for the Houston Texans. Kansas City can clinch the AFC West if they win and the Raiders and the Broncos lose or tie either way. And obviously, Jarrett Stidham getting the start, as we talked about yesterday, and has been a big major topic of conversation over the last 48 hours. Russell Wilson to the bench. Jarrett Stidham, you're up, buddy. Miami can clinch the AFC East if they win, or they win and Buffalo needs to lose or tie this week, and Baltimore can clinch the AFC's number 1 overall seed, first round bye, and home field advantage with a win. So there you go. They will clinch the AFC North with that win as well. Which one of these do you think has the best chance of occurring by this time Monday? Who's going to be sitting there saying, hey, we've got our spot locked up?
My boys down in South Beach. And actually, they can just clinch with the win. They have a 2-game lead over Buffalo. So if they win and Buffalo still wins, they'll still have a 2-game lead, and then they would have 1 game left against Buffalo, and Buffalo beats them last week. Then Buffalo will still be a game behind Miami. So Miami can clinch with just a win. I don't think Buffalo has to lose. They have a 2-game lead over Buffalo. So I think it's the Dolphins because I like what I saw Christmas night with the Ravens, but I also want to put context to it a little bit also, is that the Baltimore Ravens caused 5 turnovers. When you cause 5 turnovers and they're all on your side of the, except for one, they're all on your side of the field, you better turn that into at least 24 points. It better be between 20 and 24 points. The Dolphins aren't turning the ball over 5 times. I know Jalen Waddle's out, but Miami is a physical football team. I get really tired of hearing about this finesse thing. There's a reason why they're the second leading rushing team in the league.
Roquan Smith says y'all play cute.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. And Michael Parsons also said he could quarterback the Dolphins. Tell me how many plays he made Christmas Eve night. Exactly.
He had 2 tackles.
Yeah, there you go. Tell me what kind of game you had, buddy, when you're running your mouth on your podcast. Quick sidebar, current players, just play. Do your podcast in the offseason, but during the year, just focus and play. You make yourself look stupid, i.e. Draymond Green and Michael Parsons. So I think the Dolphins go on the road. I think they get themselves a big win here. They got momentum. We spit up on ourselves against the Tennessee Titans. I can admit that. I know that. But before that, the last loss was the Kansas City Chiefs. 21-14, where they scored a defensive touchdown. We held that offense to 14 points. We're not turning the ball over 5 times. Miami's going to be able to run the football. They're going to win. They're going to clinch the division since the first time since Chad Pennington and the Wildcat with Ricky Williams with no dreads and Ronnie Brown, the Hummer from Auburn, were in the offense. Tony Sparano was the head coach at that time too. So give me my beloved Dolphins, man, to clinch this division and then spit in Buffalo's face by resting everybody the last week of the year. I mean, if they want the number 1 seed, no. But if we have the division, number 2 seed, we know we're going to play a wild card game. And if we win that game, we'll play the divisional round at home also, too. I like the Dolphins' chances here more probably than anybody else to win and sew up their division, get their division title this year.
If I had to pick one, I'd pick Baltimore because I do think they'll go into Miami and get a win. But I honestly...
Baltimore. The game's in Baltimore. I'm sorry. I thought you said go into Miami.
I did.
Yeah, the game's in B-more.
Go into Baltimore, I suppose, and get a win over Miami. But honestly, I asked you a trick question because I don't think any of these happen. I don't know if any of these clinching scenarios come into play. I think they'll all kind of
come
be
down to week
by
18.
Week 18. Because I think the Broncos win that game against the Chargers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I do.
It's in Denver, right?
I think the Broncos win. Look, I know like this, bro. You do all of this Sean Payton, Russell Wilson stuff.
You better win.
You better win.
You better
win. Okay? Like, they're going to – Jarrett Stidham comes out here and throws 5 touchdowns and throws for 400 yards, which, this to be clear, I'm not necessarily predicting that is what's going to happen. But if it does happen, then everybody on TV will have to be like, well, maybe Sean had a point. Now, I'll say this. The way that people have been reacting to Sean Payton recently, and I do have to say happy birthday to Sean Payton. It's his birthday today. And at the end of his press availability, he thanked reporters for wishing him a happy birthday, despite no one actually doing so. So that's kind of how the tone and tenor is in Denver. You remember Ryan McFadden yesterday saying that it felt like Wednesday's practice was a funeral.
Yeah, he did.
He said, that was the words that he used. Denver beat reporter for the Denver Post, Ryan McFadden, joined us yesterday.
He said the music that was playing was louder
than the silence was louder than the music that was playing.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, speaks volumes. I don't know if they were playing any Future, but apparently, like, all last, prior to, like, Tuesday, it was all good to play Future while Russell Wilson was around and poke fun at that situation. But now Russell Wilson is a sympathetic figure, so I better watch what I say before people call me names. But I think that Baltimore is on a different type of run right now, especially when you could. They kind of had the close game against the Rams, and they then they come out here to San Francisco and just really flummox Brock Purdy. We haven't seen that moment happen for Brock so far through his short career of some 19, 20 games, right? Have not seen that moment where he kind of looked out of place or looked uncomfortable, right? Because, I mean, it's hard to look uncomfortable when you got the Avengers around you like Deebo Samuel and Trent Williams and Christian McCaffrey and Brandon Ayuk, who gets not enough credit, in my opinion, Brandon Ayuk. He's a really good player.
He's developed into a professional, what I call a professional wide receiver. Great route runner, his hands, catch, run after catch. He has the total package. Now, he's open a lot, of course, because you got to watch Kelsey and you got to watch who wants some of Debo. So he gets a lot of one-on-one coverage, but he's doing what he does with it.
So I do think that Baltimore, and plus too, Mark Andrews goes down, keep on rolling. Devin Duvernay goes down. Well, you know what? Backup punt return to Tylan Wallace will just take one to the house and house the game against the Rams. Yep. They're kind of moving at a different speed, and really, if you think about the last few years with this Ravens team, injuries have derailed them.
Of course.
Early injuries.
Oh, yeah.
They lost like 4 running backs in the training camp last year.
Yeah.
Right? So now, obviously, Keaton Mitchell's gotten hurt. I mean, Gus Edwards, the Gus bus is your primary back, which seems to always be the case. Maybe it's him. Like, there was a while with Jason Campbell. If you signed him as your backup quarterback, former Auburn Tiger, Jason Campbell.
Love me some Jason Campbell, man.
He played for the Washington football team.
Played for the.
But there was a moment where if you signed him, you knew he was going to see the field. No matter what, he seemed to always get to the field. Hey, if you're an established quarterback and Jarrett Stidham's backing you up, look out. Okay, because you might get benched towards the end of the season for Jarrett Stidham to get out there, another Auburn Tiger, now that I'm thinking about it. But I do think that Lamar Jackson's playing at a different level right now, and I know that some of his touchdown numbers don't reflect that in the way that you would love it, but you know what? When you just watch the games, in my opinion, you see a guy who is one of the singularly hardest people to game plan for in the NFL, and I think that him as a weapon, him being healthier than we have seen him towards the end of the season in a very, very long time, I think that Baltimore is a scary team to deal with.
And when you look at that game, I look at the Miami Dolphin defense. We're going to be able to corral that offense of Lamar Jackson. Miami Dolphins, whether people notice or not, yards per game, they're the 3rd-ranked team in the NFL. Rushing yards per game, 5. I predicted that Vic would move them from 18 up to 7. 11 spots was in my 117 Uncle VJ's football predictions. He has them at number 3. Jalen Ramsey showed up. Oh, yeah, he matters that much. Miami's got a real defense. Last week you asked me on Martin VJ, what was my takeaway from the Dallas game? Christmas Day you asked me because it was the day after we filled in on Christmas Day. From New Year's Eve, what was my takeaway? Had nothing to do with Tua. Had nothing to do with Tyreek. Had nothing to do with the Penguin. Had nothing to do with Mostert. I said, Miami Dolphins have a real defense now. That's why this cute or this nice team, speed team, finesse, they're not finesse. Louis Riddick said it. They're as physical as anybody in the league. They can run it down your throat, and they got hogs up front on the defensive side of the ball, and Zeller and Christian Wilkins. And Chubb is coming to his own. Remember, we lost Phillips. We lost Phillips to a torn Achilles. You just pull the numbers up. 90 yards a game on the ground is all Miami gives up. If you guys think Baltimore is just going to run over Miami this weekend, you got another thing coming. Their defense will corral Lamar Jackson, and they'll win this game. Also, by the way, last time Miami was in Baltimore, tell me what happened. Who walked out of there with a win? Tua threw for almost 500 yards and 6 touchdowns last time I checked. Now, he won't do that on Sunday. I don't think he's going to do that this week. I think it's going to be more of a physical, defensive style type game. I just think the Dolphins come out on top, win the division, and then if we take care of Buffalo, number 1 seed in the AFC, everybody got to come through Miami, baby. You got to come to the crib. You got to come to the Rock and come play the Dolphins.
On the NFC side of things, San Francisco can clinch the NFC's first overall seed if the Cowboys beat the Lions, the Cardinals beat the Eagles, and they win. Philadelphia can clinch the NFC East with a win and a Dallas loss against the Lions. Tampa can clinch the NFC South with a win and Atlanta losing. I think that one right there is probably your most likely to be cleared by Week 17, Tampa and Baker Mayfield getting that NFC South championship.
How do you like that Dallas Lions game?
I think it's going to be interesting. A lot of people are seemingly penciling in the Cowboys for a big-time game.
Coming off the back-to-back road.
Coming off back-to-back road wins. The Cowboys having a different animal at home, and the Lions have not been nearly as impressive on the road as they have been at home. But I think when you look a little bit further into those Lions numbers, it's less about being on the road and more about being outside. Last I checked, Jerry World's got a roof.
Yeah, and I thought the Lions were impressive at Minnesota. Now, albeit they lose Hawkinson early, they lose, Jordan, they lose Addison early, and they're, going against a third string quarterback. But I think that is the most interesting, intriguing game in the NFC. Is I'm very interesting tomorrow night tomorrow afternoon for us, but to check out that Dallas and Detroit game. Also on the NFC side, it may not look juicy, but just watch how San Francisco responds flying cross-country to play a 10 a.m. start at the Commanders. I'm just saying.
How about, the Commanders are honestly like a hilarious team.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Like, Sam Howell starts the game, back-to-back weeks, last 2 weeks, gets benched for Jacoby Brissett. Offense wakes up immediately.
Yeah.
Jacoby Brissett's penciled in as a starter. Hamstring injury. Sam Howell might be right back in there. It's like, that's just, what are we doing? That's just a tough one to go.